Hey, what's going on everybody? Boilon here and welcome back to another video on Marvel Strike Force. Now today, we have a very special video today because we're rounding the bend here, the end of patch 7.3 and entering patch 7.4 next week. But I'm here to say why I think Marvel Strike Force is the best Hero Collector mobile game on the market in 2023. And yes, this is no joke, and no, I've not been replaced or abducted by a Scopely alien that I think a lot of people are thinking that this is a sponsored video, and no, it is not. And the reason why I'm saying this now is, again, because we're kind of near the end of the patch cycle, but there's a lot of good things about this game, especially. I think they've kind of really made things a lot better over the last, I want to say 4 months, maybe 4 to 6 months, but definitely 4 months. And why? After playing some other games lately, that this really actually is the best version of a Hero Collector that you can get. Because some of you may know that I have a side channel for Lord of the Rings, Heroes of Middle-earth, which is done by Capital Games, and I will also openly admit that that game is in rough shape. The game is, well, frankly, probably nowhere near where Star Wars Galaxy Heroes is. And that's not because it's a new game, and that's just because it just released really terribly and had a bad global launch. Now, I've played a lot of other mobile games in general as well, and I always keep coming back to this one. And so there's a couple of things that I want to talk about in this video, why this, for me at least, makes it the best game of 2023, at least in the mobile scene. So if you're ready to go, let's boil this down. Now, we're going to be talking about a few things, not in any particular order exactly, but there is a handful of topics that I want to cover in this video. And the first thing that I want to go over is character shard availability. I'm going to say availability because I know they're not all farmable, but I want to take a look at some of the newest teams that have come out and where I'm at with my roster. Now, many of you know that I'm not a completely free to play. Like, I haven't spent in about over 2 years, but I was a spender, a little bit of a spender in the past. Not a heavy spender. I was like a light spender in the past. I don't anymore. But anyways, that's not the point. The point is that where my roster is with these new characters, from essentially a free to play perspective on these characters. And so I want to start with Secret Defenders, because they just came out. This was the most recent patch, right? And the characters here. Now, I want to take a look at the star levels. Now, I'm basically at almost 5-star for the 3 main characters, Photon, Miss Marvel Hardlight, Ghost Rider Robbie, and of course Black Cat, but that's due to my veteran roster nature. And I should hopefully, by the end of this month's orbs, those orbs that you're getting in the month long, to hopefully get Ghost Rider to 5-star as well. That'd be really, really nice. And we do have some Miss Marvel Hardlight shards coming up in, I think it's next week's event. So that should be no problem as well. So I'm really, really happy that I'm able to get these new characters at a 4 or 5-star level, within, honestly, pretty quick. Like, who's the first? Miss Marvel Photon was the first one. Came out on August the 3rd. We're now in, like, I don't know, like, third, whatever week of September. So it's less than 2 months, and I've been able to get them up to 5-star. That's really amazing, honestly. So I want to kind of take a look at my Bifrost team as well. I think a lot of them are kind of in that range. Now, this is going to be for people who are able to complete the events with a little bit of luck as well. Sometimes some of the characters do have like some orbs, so it's going to be plus or minus a little bit anyways. And so Bifrost, I have a 5-star Vol. Now, Sylvie's the only one. They actually know Beta Ray. I didn't blitz that heavily on Beta Ray Bill, so I'll give them that. Bifrost is a little bit down, but I mean, the good thing is that in this game, you don't need to have them at 5+ star for them to be viable. Like, I am up punching a lot in my, well, I'm not sure if I'm up punching exactly, but they up punch. So you don't even need to have them this high, and they can function where they need to be in the incursion raid. So as a newer team, so I guess this is a combination of power creep, making those lower stars viable, I guess. Whereas in other games, and I want to reference Lord of the Rings again here, and probably Star Wars Galaxy Heroes to some extent, that you can't have viable characters until they're 6 or 7-star. And that's why I'm so glad that that's not the case here in Marvel Strike Force, that you can have a 3-star, 4-star character, and they're more than good enough to be at the point where you can take them into endgame content. I can't say the same with, newer characters that come out in Lord of the Rings, for example. They have this marquee release style system, which anyone who's played Star Wars understands this in Lord of the Rings, and you get a free 3-star unlock, but that's it. They're not farmable for about 3 months, and then of course it's going to take time to farm them up from 3-star onwards to about that 6 or 7 stars, at least in Lord of the Rings, to make them viable. They follow the same shard path as Marvel Strike Force as well, so it does take, I don't know, probably a handful of months to get them to a viable state, on top of the 3 months of waiting. So I don't want to wait 5 or 6 months for my new characters to become viable. I've been able to start building them right away. And that's honestly the best part about Marvel Strike Force, that you can hype up the characters because you'll be able to get them unlocked free to play. Within a couple of weeks of the, less than 2 weeks of them going into the offers, they'll be available free to play. You can unlock them and then you can start building them right away and use them. It's not always the case in other games. And so that's something that I really love about this one. One other team that I did want to check out, what was the one other team that I did build? The one past, just because it's a little bit further away, my Invaders. Now, where are they sitting at? They're not farmable yet either, but I just want to see where my shards are sitting at, because they've been out for a little bit. And I'm almost at 6-star Bucky. I am at 6-star Iron Fist, almost at 6-star Union Jack, and Cap's a little bit further back. Now, Cap had like a 3-star release or something like that, or maybe it was 2 and a bit, and it had like shards as it went along. Anyways, doesn't really matter. My point is that if you give this game time, if you're here when the characters come live, and there'll be multiple chances to get shards now as well. That shard availability has really gone up in recent months, especially because you're seeing new characters enter the passes way sooner than they ever did in the past. They're like, as the character event is finishing, they're already in the pass. It's honestly crazy. Miss Marvel's pass was like before her event ended. So if you're wanting to spend a little bit of money, but you don't even need to, you're going to get an additional free-to-play 50 shards from the pass, and an additional, 50 plus, or however, I don't even know how many shards there are now in the pass. I'm not sure if it's a straight 50 and 100. But either way, it's free-to-play shards available, both in the Strike Pass and the RTA Pass. So there's availability. Now, it's not farmability, but it's availability. So that is still a good way, though, in the meantime, to get those characters unlocked, and because they are viable at the unlock stage. So that's kind of the first thing that I want to cover. The second thing is that there's actually a lot of things to do in this game, right? I know a lot of us, cry out screen time, mostly because of Blitz. However, there's lots of things to do if you want to engage in it. But the great thing is that you don't have to engage in it. You don't actually, believe it or not, what other people might tell you, you don't need to engage heavily in every single game mode. We have Cosmic Crucible, we have Alliance War, we have Raids, we have Blitz, we have Arena, and then a variety of random events that have come out from time to time, including Scourge events or Trial events or whatever. And, so there's a lot of things to do. But you don't have to take it all seriously. And that's what I think is really important to understand, is that for me, I take Cosmic Crucible mildly. I'm not super serious. What league am I in right now? I'm in Platinum 3. I used to be as low as Platinum 1. Like, I honestly didn't care. And now that I have 7-star Quicksilver, I care even less. There's no blue 5 ions in here either, so I've kind of taken it a little bit of a backseat. I am playing it, but I'm not, like, sometimes I'll go 2 wins, 1 loss, like sometimes I care, sometimes I don't. And it's not really a huge deal for me because, you get resources, yes, but the differences between win and losing is, I would argue, fairly minor. And so unless you're super hardcore, in which case, it's there. It's there for you to go super hardcore if you want to, then be my guest. Same with Alliance War. Alliance War kind of pushes you towards a 50% win ratio. So if you start winning too much, you and your alliance, you're eventually going to get matched up, if you're not already, with some really hardcore, crazy alliances that's going to cause you to get kicked down. This is just inevitable. And so my alliance is at Platinum 3. We've been actually there for some time, like almost a year, I think, maybe a year at this point. And it's fairly close to being, like, most of the alliances that I've seen are within the Platinum League, like Platinum 1, 2, and 3. And so, again, it's not a crazy amount of difference, because after Platinum 3, it's like, I don't know, it's Masters or Grandmasters. I don't remember how Alliance War leagues work comparatively to Cosmic Crucible. I kind of forget. But, again, if you don't want to engage, there's plenty of alliances that are more casual about it, like mine. I care sometimes about playing. You can see right now I still haven't done all my attacks, even though I could. And usually I do. But, at the same time, like, the amount of alliances that I've come across that do full clears is minor, very minor. And so I think people take this a little bit more casually than they did in the past as well. So while people might say there's like 2 hours of screen time, I would say that that's probably only during blitz heavy events. It's mostly for people who hardcore kind of engage in every single aspect, maybe a manual alliance raids. I don't even do that anymore. And now I guess now people are going to be like, well, what do I manually play? Sometimes I do. It depends on what the node is. But, there's ways that you can bring the screen time down, bringing up your characters so you don't have to manual everything, and that is a nice way to bring down the screen time for the things that you actually want to do. Whether, again, maybe you do want to play Alliance War and Cosmic Crucible more seriously, then you have that ability to do so. So you don't have to engage in everything 100%, and you can engage in the things that you want to. That includes actually your roster as well, in terms of your roster building, that you can decide. And if you're free to play, you're not going to be able to do everything. Let me just tell you that right now, that I would argue that you kind of have enough free-to-play resources to build 1.5 game modes, I think. Like, you could focus on, a lot of people should focus on raids, and then after that, like, you might have enough resources to, like, halfway build a team for Cosmic Crucible or Alliance War before you need to then start, building another raid team or an arena team or whatever, right? Like, you just can't do everything. That's why I've kind of limited myself to raids and arena, and that's pretty much it. I don't really build too much beyond that very often because I just don't have the resources, and you kind of have to understand your limitations as a free-to-play player. Now, I'm just talking about a lot of these aspects of the game from a free-to-play nature, but that's just how it is most of the time. Otherwise there would be no purpose in spending, right? They want you to spend, they need to find you a way to actually spend, which is through roster management. So that's one thing. That's another thing as well. I think that for a game that it's 5 years, it's going to be coming up on 6 years in March, right? That this game has stood the test of time so far. I think it's stood the test of time a lot better than other games have. I've played a lot of other mobile games, and I always keep coming back to this one. And usually that's because of the aspects that I talked about, and there's one more that I want to talk about, which I think keeps a lot of people around, and it's the community. The community in Marvel Strike Force, for better or for worse, some people might might say different things, but it's a very active, it's a very communicative, it's a very there's a lot going on. Right? Whether it's on Discord, whether it's on YouTube, whether it's on Twitch, whether it's on Reddit, there's a lot of people, both content creators and players, who are engaging with the community on a daily basis. I'm not even that's the truth. Daily. We are there daily. Everyone is there daily talking about this game and making sure that the people who should know what's going on. Right, and whether that's people like us, content creators, who kind of share information with you all, or it's people both players and content creators, communicating with the people behind the game, for example, about good things and bad things, and the community kind of coming together in aspects of both the good and the bad to overcome these challenges that we face that often does go. It's a bit of a roller coaster. I'll admit that the game has not always been as good as it is now, and I think that it is doing quite good now, and I just kind of want to share this because some people say that there's not enough positive content out there, and I kind of want to do this to explain to people my thoughts on where things are right now and why I actually have a lot of faith in things right now as well. Now, does that mean the game's going to suddenly blow up and explode in population? No, it's not, probably because it's almost a 6-year-old game. However, I think that things are going steady and things are going well for how long the game has been out, honestly. And I hope that, it's actually at the stage where I would recommend it to people, if they wanted to play the game. There were times in the past where I wouldn't. And I think that we're actually in a place right now where, yes, I would recommend players to play Marvel Strike Force if they're interested in a Marvel-based hero collector game. And so that's where a lot of things have changed for me. And I'd be really curious what your all thoughts are in the comments down below. How have you been feeling about Marvel Strike Force lately? And if I'm completely out of touch, feel free to let me know that in the comments down below as well. What major things have been bothering you that hasn't been addressed? that maybe should, you know, and I'm more than welcome to hear some of those. Maybe I just, you know, passed over a lot of things. Obviously, you know, I could have gone on for longer. But these were the immediate things that I've been thinking about lately, and you know how I've been feeling about the game at large. So again, love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. Otherwise, that's going to be the end of the video, and enjoy the rest of your Sunday or whenever you're watching this video. And until next time, stay safe and healthy. I'll see y'all later. Boilon signing out.